Today on Food Journey, I'm chatting with Mrs. Shoyongwoo, a grandma, musician, and friend, remotely from her lovely home. Mrs. Shoyongwoo, welcome to Food Journey. So glad that you've joined us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
You are 86 years old. I should say 86 years young, because you look absolutely fantastic. And I can only hope that by God's grace, if I should reach your age, I look as beautiful as you do and have your youthful energy and spirit. I'd like to ask you, tell us, what is your secret?
Really, I do not have a secret, because secrets are supposed to be hidden from people. But my life is so open, and the people who live with me know I don't do anything special. I think the first thing is by God's grace that I have continuing health, and I eat properly. That means I don't dwell on junk food, and I drink liquids, water and teas, some herb teas like mint teas and leaf teas, and I just nibble at food, but I force myself to eat properly, heavily, once a day, around 5 or 6 p.m. food that I have cooked myself.
As we grow older, we need to modify our diets to include more whole foods, which support us physically as we age. Foods which support our bones and joints, our senses and nerves, our mental function. As the body ages, it gives us indicators. It lets us know we're getting older, things like your eyesight, your physical capabilities, etc. Now, have you had any instances of physical or physiological constraints which you have seen or developed over your years?
By way of illnesses, is it? Well, diabetes was diagnosed just over 40 years ago, and had been very well controlled by very, very good doctors, and I've managed, but I had been quite shocked when I was diagnosed as a diabetic, because I thought only obese, fat, huge people had diabetes. It isn't true. But I was on the sweet tooth side. But that had to be controlled, managed, and I'm doing fine, except I've had some frightful low blood sugar because I hadn't eaten, or I'd had too much anti-diabetic, say insulin. Then I had eye issues that I've got a cataract of, and I'm okay. I read a lot, so I meant to have good eyesight so that I can continue reading and write a lot. My hearing is a bit below standard. I don't know whether it's 86 standard or normal standard, but now I have to say pardon a few times, and I've had my ear checked, but I haven't started using the instrument they gave me because it tickles my ear. So that's where I am. I can walk, I can do things, I can wash, I can cook, I can do almost everything by myself.
It doesn't matter your age or color, diabetes is a puzzle and a challenge for those living with it and their families. Mrs. Shoyinwo is a living, breathing example of this. Now, we've known each other for a long time, and in the musical sense especially, we're both pianists, and that means using your fingers all the time to practice. Tell me, has your chronic illness affected your ability to play the piano now?
I used to practice a lot. Now, it's dual change. I mean, you succeeded in playing well if you continue practicing. And I used to practice so many hours a day, but when raising a family, that was cut into a third. And then it even became less when I started teaching as well. I didn't have much time to practice, and cooking, I didn't have time to practice. But I tried to squeeze in a few hours a week. Now, recently, within the last 1 year, I got up one day with numbness in my fingers. It was cleared very soon when I started wearing the neck support, but I have 2 fingers still not working very well. But they don't stop me doing what I want to do. I still play the piano, but not for recitals.
Okay, now how about exercise? What does somebody your age do? Or maybe I should say, what exercises can you do? And could you demonstrate maybe a few of them for us?
You know, God has spared my limbs and I have my feet. I used to be a runner in sports, but now I can't run at all, but I can walk, and so I do lots of walking every day. I have a long house, so I can walk up and down, up and down, up and down, up to at least a mile a day or more. And then I do other exercises with my body, you know, twisting left and right. And at times I cycle, not on a motorcycle, not on a bicycle, and I don't have the gym equipment, but I just hold onto a chair, a high chair, and then cycle so many times, counting about 200 on one hand, 200 on the other hand, and I don't get tired because I don't do it stressfully. Yes, I also squeeze, because of my numbness, I squeeze my hand like this, you know, at times with a little ball in my hand to squeeze and open, squeeze and open. And I try to use my hand. I write a lot. I don't type my writings. I write them by hand and somebody else types them for me.
Right. Now I'd like to ask if you could illustrate for us a typical eating day in your life, given your restrictions and the kind of timings that you have to adhere to.
My day starts around 9:30 a.m. After bath, after everything, and then I have some quiet time, and then when I come out, the assistant that I have in the house can make my porridge. It's by choice. They make my porridge. The porridge that they make is either Quaker oats, I make it myself. But Ogibaba, that's a brown wheat corn. I eat it almost every day. But I don't eat it, at times I eat it with honey, but I eat it with savory, with Um, vegetables. Vegetables stewed with onions and pepper and smoked fish. So that's how I eat it. And after eating that, it's about 10:30 or 11. So I go and sit in my study, my work room, which is there, with a cup of tea and a flask.
Timing meals is important because energy must be kept up without allowing blood sugar to spike or drop dramatically. Insulin can be taken to synthesize sugar. Diabetics follow the GI or glycemic index to know which foods release energy slowly, which is favorable. Here is Mrs. Shoyonwo's timeline for the day. Breakfast is medium to light by 10:30. In between, it's tea, biscuits, and testing blood sugar, which really dictates your food moves during the day. The main meal is a sustaining mix of some starch, protein, and lots of veggies. At 9 p.m., when we're feeling a bit peckish, it's okay for a treat. If our readings say so, then it's a late night spent reading and watching movies. There's a quaint little garden behind the house with a variety of vegetables and a magnificent coconut tree. And look at these sweetsop growing. Great for respiratory issues. This is truly a garden full of surprises. So now I've got a clearer picture, and I'm sure we all have, of what it really takes to be able to manage this type of chronic illness. But I need to know what happens if you kind of slip up or you're not really following the correct plan and timings.
My blood sugar just goes up. For example, when I go home, that's either my first home or my second home, that's my home where I was born, and all my sisters will run to feed me with all the things I couldn't get here, and so I eat in this person's house. By the time I get to the next person's house, you can't go without eating your favorite dish. So I eat it, so my blood sugar goes up. And so I have to see that it goes down the next day by going back to my beans, to my light food, to my coleslaw, vegetables and things for say a whole day until I normalize again.
Now, I happen to know that you live by yourself. I'm wondering, what is the dynamic like between yourself and your children, extended family? Do they fuss around you all the time? What's the connection there?
I have almost 9 of them, man and wife and husband. My children, 5 of them. The husbands and the wives, they all monitor me. The first thing they do when I'm there, they say, oh, there's food there, they can go to work and come. And I know where everything is. And they tell me, if you want a snack, we have these cabin biscuits, and they know the cheeses I want. So they have them stocked. And they phoned from work to ask if I had eaten something. Now, with this lockdown, they couldn't visit me. So they are on the phone. My phone is jammed. Oh, have you eaten? What did you eat? When did you eat it? How much did you eat? Oh, I think you better have a cup of something now. And they keep on. So I have 5, 6, 7 orders from all of them. And I say, well, it has come to that. So they really monitor me. They really monitor me.
That's really lovely. Now I'm going to ask you, is there anything that you really miss that you used to eat before you were diagnosed with your condition that you really just miss?
You know, you have the amala you have here is made out of yam. It's flour made out of yam. But the same amala I have from Ghana, where I come from, it's called kokonte, and it's made out of cassava. And it's got it's lots of starch in it. So really, it's not so good for diabetes. Oh, but I eat it when I go there. I miss that. I miss that. But I still bring the flour here, and at times, once in about 6 months, I make some, and that's the only thing that I really miss.
Are there any supplements which you need to take, which you do on your own or are prescribed by your doctor?
Yes, and those were ordered by the doctor who's looking and monitoring my diabetes. So I have some, although I don't think I'm hypertensive, I've given something which is anti-hypertensive to take, then something to take water out of my tissues, and I have vitamin C, lots of it, and the blood, the vitamin B I used to have almost every day. I used to give me not indigestion, constipation. So I do that when my blood count is low.
Well, Mrs. Shoyinwa, or maybe I can call you Grandma at this point, I'd like to thank you so much for coming and talking to us and giving us all this wonderful information that I'm sure is so useful for people who are viewing today.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Welcome to the kitchen. We had a great talk with Mrs. Shoyinwa, Grandma, as I call her now, and I'm going to be making for her something really wonderful, a warming and lovely soup that she can have all day if she likes, and it's called This soup is really unpretentious cooking. It's so simple, anybody can do it. We're using really available, local, beautiful produce. And these ingredients are just going to speak for themselves and talk to us in a language that our palate really understands. Good flavor, good value, and taste. I've chosen the ingredients today to suit Grandma's age and activity level and her condition. Slow release energy from beans and the super spice turmeric with its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant qualities. Root vegetables are just good, aren't they? And they're good for us and really bulk out the soup. No need for heavy starches here today. Let's start off with these onions. This is going to be the base. Onions are really the base here, flavor, and we're going to build upon that with all the other root vegetables. Need to wash these leeks before we use them. Wash your leeks under a running tap. They can trap soil. And use the white part. Cut it into rustic rounds. One of the things I love about this soup is that there's going to be a bit of it, and it allows you to just go back and have more when you want it, which is especially important for somebody like Grandma who has to make sure that she's eating several times in the day. Done. This is 3-bean soup, and we're using canned butter beans, brown beans, and string beans. Sometimes simplicity is the way. They've been top and tailed, meaning the top's been taken off and the bottom. So I think it's time for us to go over to the stove now and put this whole delicious meal together. A big rustic cast iron pot and a wooden spoon seems apt, don't you think? Olive oil, lots. We want to enrich the soup with good fat. Onions and leeks. Now let them get some color. Now, this is what we want. It smells really, really nice. And you can see there's some color happening here. Let's add a little bit of salt to that, a baker's pinch. And then I think we can add our carrots to that. In they go. Now the idea is to get color on everything. This is a roasted soup. Right, let's add some chili. And let's add our string beans as well. And really mix those in. It's starting to look and smell fabulous. What I will start to do is start to add some of the aromatics, starting off with some thyme, some black pepper, turmeric, very important to this dish as an aromatic. At this point, I'm adding tomato paste, about 2 tablespoons. Now, tomato paste has a tendency to be a little bit tart, and we want to cook that out so that at the end of the dish, you don't have a sourness. The butter beans and all of the brown beans as well. Now, I am using chicken stock. This is not chicken stock that I've made myself, but I've actually bought this. And you can too, for expedience. And I need about 6 cups of this. Some beautiful cherry tomatoes grown here, and we'll just plonk those in as well. Not only for eye candy, but also to add a lovely extra layer of flavor in there. So we've got the roasted tomatoes and we've got these lovely cherry tomatoes as well. And I think we just need now to leave this to simmer. I've added in the smoked chicken and some parsley, and it's almost ready to serve. So excited to taste some of this. So just going to dig down in here and get myself a lovely little taste test portion. Ah, well, what a lovely, lovely bowl I have here. And of course, it's time to taste it. Let's see. Make sure I got some chicken in there, some of the tomato and the beans. Cheers. My goodness, this is so good. So delicious. If I'm not careful, I might eat the whole bowl of this today. Delicious, and thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you've learned a lot, and I hope that you'll come back and join us again next time. Bye-bye.